Listen carefully. If you show how smart you are too soon, you lose your power before the game even begins. Power isn't about proving you're right. It's about staying hidden until it's too late for others to react. In a world where everyone wants to look smart, the person who pretends to be slow often holds the biggest advantage. To most people, this might seem foolish. You spend years learning, observing, sharpening your mind, and then what? You act like you don't know anything, but a Machiavellian sees it differently. He knows intelligence only matters when used at the perfect moment. Showing it too early is like revealing your poker hand before the real betting starts. Instead of gaining respect, you become a target. People feel threatened. They compete with you. They quietly try to pull you down. They make plans against you. They talk behind your back. Why? Because you showed them your strongest weapon too early, your mind. So what does a smart strategist do? He hides it. He lets others believe he's weak, soft, inexperienced, and harmless. And when it really counts, he surprises everyone with one powerful sentence that changes everything. That's not being dumb. That's performance. Most people are hooked on praise. They hate being underestimated. They feel offended if someone thinks they're slow, so they rush to prove themselves. I already knew that, they say. Let me fix you. Here's the real answer. But Machiavelli would say, well done. You just became predictable by showing off right away. You gave away your entire set of tools. Now your enemies know who you are and what you care about. That means they know how to trick you. And worse, the person you were trying to impress doesn't actually respect you. They just filed you away as another attention-seeking know-it-all. So instead of leading the room, you've turned yourself into part of the background. The Machiavellian flips this around. He lets others assume things. They assume he's slow. They assume he's average. They assume he's distracted. And while they're busy assuming, he's watching, learning, and getting closer to their weak spots. Because there's a special kind of silence that only smart, strategic people have, and it doesn't come from being clueless. It comes from self-control. Sun Tzu once said, "Appear weak when you are strong." Machiavelli took it even further. He didn't just seem weak. He let others think they had control over him. Then, when they felt relaxed and safe, he quietly took everything from them. This works because of human ego. When people think they're the smartest one in the room, they stop being careful. They talk too much. They reveal secrets. They expose their mistakes. And who's watching all of this in silence? The person they thought was a fool. That's why this strategy is so powerful. It makes enemies honest. It softens your rivals. It lowers their guard. It makes your final move seem like a miracle. Even though you planned it from the beginning, no one saw it coming. That's what makes you so effective. You've seen it in negotiations, in personal relationships, and in politics. It's always the person who listens quietly, asks simple questions, lets others talk, and then, at just the right moment, says one thing that shuts the entire conversation down. That's not luck. That's someone trained to show what they know only when it truly matters, when it wins the fight in one single move. You see this in the executive, who stays quiet during the meeting, but closes the deal with one smart counteroffer. In the quiet friend who knows everyone's secrets because he never interrupts. In the investor who acts unsure, waits for the price to drop, and then buys everything. In one moment, the room realizes you weren't behind. You were baiting them. That's the difference between intelligence and strategic intelligence. This is not about pretending to be stupid. It's about pretending you have less leverage than you actually do until they give you the opening. Then you make it very clear you were never in the dark. You were just waiting for everyone else to think you were. If the world were rational, intelligence would be your greatest weapon. But this isn't a world that rewards intelligence. It rewards control, and control doesn't come from showing your brilliance. It comes from withholding it until the room is too blind to stop you. This is calculated foolishness, letting others believe they're leading the conversation, letting them feel like the smartest one in the room, while you're already 10 moves ahead, silently collecting the pieces. It's not about hiding forever. It's about waiting for the silence to become unbearable and then breaking it with precision. We now live in a world where everyone is obsessed with being right, where people equate speaking the most with winning, where silence is interpreted as weakness. And that's exactly why the tactic of strategic stupidity works so well. Because in this climate of fragile egos and loud noise, the man who speaks less becomes a black hole of mystery. He gets judged, misunderstood, laughed at maybe, but underneath that, he's in total control of perception. Because here's the secret. People project their fantasies and fears onto the unknown. The moment you become unreadable, you become a mirror. They start revealing who they are, not who you are. And that's how the Machiavellian collects data. He lets people expose themselves through their assumptions about him. While they try to play chess, he's studying their fingers, their breath, their tells, waiting to dismantle their entire board. Imagine you walk into a room of men, posturing, arguing, debating, each one trying to be the most alpha, the most clever, the most dominant. You stay quiet. You say nothing unless addressed directly. You don't offer your opinion, you listen. Now watch what happens. One man will start talking too much, trying to prove himself to you. Another will assume you're shy and drop his guard around you. A third will try to manipulate you, thinking you're easy to fool. All of them reveal their tactics. None of them realize you're recording everything. And then later, when you do act, you destroy each one with a single move crafted from what they themselves gave you. That's not luck. That's Machiavellian deception at its highest level. Let the fool run toward the trap. Let the smart man make them think it's a party. This tactic becomes devastatingly effective in negotiation. If you appear too sharp, people get defensive. They prepare counters. They hide information. But if you ask a dumb question, they explain more than they should. They expose internal weaknesses. They reveal their urgency. The more you appear to not get it, the more they try to convince you, and the more power you gain. Then, once they believe you're harmless, you present your offer crafted from everything they foolishly shared. It is also potent in social hierarchies. Ever been around a group where everyone wants to be the alpha? It's exhausting. And the real alpha is almost never the one doing the most talking, pretending to be unbothered, slow to react, or even slightly awkward removes you from the hierarchy long enough to observe it clearly. And once you see who's trying to dominate who needs attention, who gossips, who flatters, you know exactly where to place pressure to flip the structure upside down. Not by joining the game, but by ending it with a subtle realignment they never saw coming. In romance or seduction, this is where many make their worst mistake. They try to impress too fast. They speak like interviewees. They try to prove their worth. But the most desirable man is elusive. Not dumb, but disinterested. Not clueless, but unreadable. Pretending not to care, not to notice, not to compete. Triggers more obsession than trying to win them ever will. People fall in love with who they can't figure out. Not who lays all their cards on the table in the first 5 minutes. But pretending to be foolish is not the same as being passive. It's not weakness. It's a mask worn by someone who is watching everything. The silent man can be mistaken for the coward only if he's truly not paying attention. But the Machiavellian is always alert. Every word you say around him becomes a tool. Every assumption you make feeds his next move. He may appear slow, but he's already decided how to dismantle you while you were too busy explaining yourself. So remember, smart people who feel the need to show it lose. Smart people who can fake ignorance win. And the longer you can wear the mask, the deeper your blade can go when it finally comes time to use it. There's a brutal irony to intelligence. The moment you prove it, you start to lose control of it. Why? Because intelligence on display becomes a target. It becomes something others try to test, disprove, or tear down. It invites rivalry, insecurity, and resistance. But when intelligence is hidden, it becomes a shadow, something people sense but can't trace. They don't know where the threat is coming from. They don't know when it'll hit. That's not weakness. That's dominance in camouflage. Picture two men walking into a room. One walks in proud, polished, sharp-eyed, clearly intelligent. Everyone immediately sizes him up. Some admire him. Most prepare themselves against him. The second walks in looking plain, calm, maybe even slightly awkward. He doesn't correct anyone, doesn't brag, doesn't signal power. What happens? People ignore him. They relax around him. They speak freely. They expose insecurities, secrets, ambitions. You can use selective confusion. Strategically, not understanding something is one of the sharpest tactics you can use. You draw out longer explanations. You expose how well or poorly the other person understands their own claim. You feign ignorance so they feel more in control. And most importantly, you let them teach you what they know, thinking they're superior. But behind the curtain, you're collecting psychological fingerprints, their rhythm, their arrogance, their blind spots. They think they've won your respect, but all they've really done is give you the exact tool to dismantle them later. Let others lead while you steer. Smart people often feel the need to lead everything, but the master strategist knows the best way to lead is by appearing to follow. Let others speak first. Let them set the direction. Let them believe they're guiding the situation. Then, with a slight nudge here, a gentle suggestion there, a hesitation that accidentally makes them reconsider their plan, you end up steering the outcome without anyone noticing. That's not just manipulation. That's invisible rule. This one is Machiavellian to the bone. Let them insult you. Let them laugh. Let them underestimate you. Don't defend. Don't explain. Don't react. Why? Because every insult they throw, every joke, every smug remark is a confession. It tells you what they fear, what they value, where their pride lives, where their armor is thinnest. And while they laugh, you sharpen your blade, quietly, patiently, until the moment comes when you show them you weren't the fool. You were the listener who knew everything. There's a saying, he who appears harmless bypasses the god. Social hierarchies are always scanning for threats. The ambitious man, the loud man, the clever man. These get marked immediately. They get watched. They get countered. They get boxed out. But the fool walks in unnoticed. No one prepares for him. No one sees the need to block him. And that's precisely why he wins. He bypasses resistance. He earns trust by default. He becomes a confidant, a safe presence, until he's the only one who knows everything and everyone else is vulnerable. By the time they realize the threat, it's too late, because the hierarchy they try to defend has already shifted quietly in his favor. This tactic also becomes deeply personal in how others emotionally respond to you. When you're too polished, too perfect, too overtly impressive, people subconsciously distance themselves. You're not relatable. You're not safe. You're too obvious. But when you present soft edges, when you seem unsure, relaxed, even aloof, you invite people to lean in closer. They drop their perfection. They show their true face. They believe you're someone they can manage or fix or outwit. And that's when you flip the script, not with aggression, but with precision. You become the person they chose to open up to, without realizing they were stepping into your frame all along. Machiavelli warns men must be either flattered or destroyed. So there's a limit to this tactic. Pretend to be a fool for too long, and two things happen. People start to actually believe you're one. You start to believe it too. This is the greatest danger, forgetting that the mask is a tool, not your identity. You must always hold your edge in private. Refine your thinking, sharpen your observations, train your delivery, so that when the time comes to shed the illusion, you don't step forward confused. You step forward as a weapon nobody saw coming. The most powerful man in the room is rarely the one talking the most or shining the brightest or correcting the loudest. It's the man watching, the man measuring, the man who plays dumb because he's already written the ending. There's a kind of genius that doesn't need to be seen. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't chase recognition because it knows something most people never figure out. The more predictable you are, the easier you are to destroy. The more impressive you seem, the faster they come for your crown. Pretending to be foolish has a long-term payoff, not in minutes, not in days, but in the slow, silent unraveling of everyone who thought they had you figured out. Because the biggest advantage a strategist has is letting others walk into their own trap, thinking it was their idea all along. Once you've convinced people you're naive, they stop hiding their real selves. They speak more than they should. They act reckless around you. They ignore your movements, underestimate your goals. They lower their weapons while you sharpen yours. This is when you strike. Not loudly, not emotionally, not publicly, but with one move they never anticipated. Because in their mind, you were harmless. And when they look back, they won't be able to trace how it happened, because you made it look like nothing at all. This tactic isn't just theory. History is a graveyard of men who underestimated the wrong fool. Julius Caesar acted like a populist hero. His rivals laughed at his theatrics. Then he crossed the Rubicon, and Rome was his. Vladimir Lenin was dismissed as irrelevant by the Tsar's regime. He quietly studied, waited, built support, and took down the monarchy in a single revolution. Li Bang, founder of China's Han Dynasty, played the role of the village drunk and jokester. His opponents thought he was incapable of leadership. He became emperor. What do they all have in common? They pretended to be beneath the game until they owned the whole board. This is Machiavellian brilliance, not dominance by force, but by misdirection. Pretending to be foolish does something even more dangerous. It makes you immune to most manipulations, because while others are trying to one-up each other, you're not competing, you're collecting data. You're watching how people treat someone they think is below them, and that reveals their true character, far more than any direct question ever could. It shows you who uses others, who flatters when they want something, who grows cruel when unchallenged, who's a coward behind a loud mouth. All of this becomes clear when you let them believe you're no threat at all. And once you know who they really are, you own the script of how they'll behave in any scenario. To apply this, you must delay your opinions. Let others speak first. Let them feel dominant. Don't correct their inaccuracies. Just watch. Often, people expose more when they think you're not smart enough to catch it. React less. Train your face to reveal nothing. When insulted, don't blink. When praised, don't smile. When challenged, don't flinch. Let them fill the silence. Let them reveal who they think you are, and keep your real thoughts buried behind stillness. Ask questions that sound simple. Instead of making statements that sound intelligent, ask questions that sound obvious. Watch how people either explain too much or reveal something they didn't mean to. Simple questions often trigger complex reveals. Let them assume you're slower than you are. Don't rush to reply. Pause longer than needed. Make them think you're hesitating, unsure. They'll either grow overconfident or reveal their hand in an attempt to guide you. You're not lost. You're luring them forward. Most people are scared of being misunderstood. But a real strategist sees it as a good thing, because the more people get you wrong, the more power you secretly gain. If people see you as dangerous, they push back. But if they think you're harmless or foolish, they let you in. And once you're in, you get access to what they know, what they feel, what they don't see, and trust you never earned, but can easily use. The goal isn't to be liked, admired, or even feared. The real goal is to be overlooked until it's too late for them to stop you. If you're truly smart, you have to ask yourself, are you wasting your brilliance trying to prove it to people who don't really matter? Or are you saving it, keeping it hidden until you can use it in a way that actually changes everything? Machiavelli made it simple. Fools get mocked, geniuses get attacked, but the person who hides both becomes the one in charge. So stay silent, Let others talk. Let them laugh. Let them relax around you. And when the moment is right, end the game without saying a word.